Good, good. We're starting off with the green room experience, just showing everyone what a green room would look like. Karina, you're familiar with green rooms, and we're just kicking around green room best practices before Brian takes us into the micro training at 12:05.
Right.
And I mean, I guess just to kind of like have a conversation about it. I mean, this is kind of like what we're going to do, allow people to show up, have casual conversations, kind of get the feel, but a green room can be anywhere. It could, if you're at, for example, Plug and Play, it could be just a designated location for you to meet with everybody. It could be a really nice room that a conference hall provides for you. It could be anything, but really it's just an opportunity for you to get relaxed. I often say the best state that you could be in when you take the stage is a creative state. If you're in your head thinking, oh, what do I need to say? And oh, do I have it right? You don't really give yourself enough space to drop into the heart. And your audience can feel that, whether it's conscious or subconscious. And so the green room is, again, a great place to be messy and get out of your head, get into your heart. I've been speaking for 20, 25 years, and I still get nervous. I still feel those nerves show up and wonder, am I going to forget anything? Am I going to put my foot in my mouth like I do every week, or forget my line or something? So this is a good place to kind of reset the authentic button and be vulnerable, but yet get focused and relaxed at the same time.
Can
So
I can I share something real quick? Something I like to think about in the green room that was really
Yeah.
powerful for me. I've been speaking for a while myself, and it's been a journey, and I naturally like it. I saw a TED talk, and it was like one of the big ones, and the guy was on the stage, and I don't even know what his TED. It was years ago, but it's really stuck with me. He said he walked out, and he goes, "I'm supposed to be nervous right now. I'm doing the biggest talk in my life. I'm on this TED stage being recorded," and he goes, "I'm not." And he said, "The reason why is because I've decided that I don't need anything from you. I don't need you to like me. I have something to give you. I want something to share with you." And I think what Brian just said, like, I do that in the green room myself as the final preparation of like, drop it. Drop all the, I need to be this, I need to be that. The authenticity comes from the fact that I have you're on a stage, so there's something to be shared. And it's seeing it from like, I want to share this with you, and I don't need reciprocation. My goal is to share this with you. I think it frees us as speakers to give versus needing to get anything, and I'm going to mess it up. It doesn't matter if you stumble on a word if you're giving something. And so it's been a really powerful thing for me, and I love to share it with speakers, especially in that green room, that last moment. I'm here to give. I want to give. It's okay if I mess up as long as I give. If you don't give, then that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love that.
The
All
part
right, Anthony, let's get into it.
or like nervous is having to like, okay, this is what I'm gonna say. If I freestyle it, I'm good. Like that's green room's gone. So that's the part that I need to like just zone in on. If I don't want to go on some tangent where it's naturally just speaking, I'm fine with that. It's that like, imagine a future. You feel we invite you, right? It's like, all right, I have to stick to this. That's the part where I know practice. I gotta continuously practice it until it comes out naturally. But that's the part that I'm that's when, as soon as it's that feeling right here, that feeling of like, that's when that feeling kicks in. But
Raise your hand if you know that feeling. So I just want you to know, like everybody, even though we speak, I mean, I've learned to embrace it. I love it. Like, there it is. I love that feeling, but I still have it.
Yeah.
It's you're getting ready to present. You're going on stage. You're going to be seen. Like, it's a thing. There's an emotional
rush.
state. Yeah.
It's a rush.
Yeah, I like that concept of letting go. That's a good one. And it is about giving, right? And if I still can't let it go, I just remind myself that, if I'm feeling these things, it's because it's important. And but I love that. I think letting go, it really does put you in that state of creativity and service and giving. So I love it. All right, Anthony, let's kick it off.
Yeah.
I think we can slide down a rabbit hole when it comes to these relaxed conversations, but that's great. I think that's what this is about. All right, so let's do it. You want to spotlight me, Anthony, and I'll
Spotlight you, and I'll spotlight the slide, and you can take it away.
Oh, my face gets so big. Oh my God, I gotta shave. And all right. Focus, Brian. All right, welcome to the presentation, Jim, everybody. My name is Brian Sparks. I'm an executive communication coach with Heroic Voice Academy. My co-hosts are Anthony Lee, the founder and executive communication, he's the founder and executive communication coach at Heroic Voice Academy. Also with us is the great one and only Craig
Wow.
Foreman. I feel like it should be echoed, like Sunday.
No, it's
Sunday,
fine. It's fine. Come on.
All right, with that being said, the goal of this show is to become a fully prepared conference presenter or startup presenter. These presenters are recognized for their authority, respected for their leadership, and rewarded for their impact. All right, so that's the only scripted part of this show. With that being said, Anthony, let's jump into this conversation about different voices as we take the stage. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the voice of leadership. So let's do our micro training, and then we can look towards our participants to practice this voice today.
Thanks, Brian. Well, we're at micro training number, I think it's 6 now. And we've gone through several voices. So just to review, in previous workouts, we talked about the contributor voice, the storyteller voice, the voice of a trusted advisor. Last week, we covered the voice of a visionary. So today, we're talking about the voice of a leader. And a leader takes the stage to answer one question: where are we going? So let's talk about where this particular question has high stakes. So one thing that comes to mind for me, Brian, is the company town hall meeting. You know, there's going to be a lot of these meetings that are starting in January, and the CEO, the C-suite, takes the stage and answers this question: where are we going? Brian, where else do you find this question being answered?
Well, I think in any conversation, we're headed a particular direction, and a leader has a vision. But let's break it down conversationally into anything that we do. I often work with a lot of startups, and when we start to review their pitch, I start from the end. And a lot of times as a leader, we need to think from the end, like, where are we going? We know, what do you want, and what is it for? The first question is very common. What do you want? Like, you want X amount of dollars, you want a certain amount of engagement, you want a particular ROI. But ultimately, the second question is even more important. Even in interpersonal relationships, what do you want? What is it for? And then when you start thinking about what is it for, you can start placing those answers within the conversation or within the presentation. Let me give you an example. If you ask a startup, well, what do you want? And they say, well, we want 1.5 million for our startup. Well, what is it for? Is it for product development? Is it to scale your sales team? Is it for marketing? Is it to onboard a unique C-suite individual? What is it for? You can't just say we're looking to scale, we're just looking to grow, or we need this for a runway. Another, kill switch for runway purposes. Runway doesn't say anything. What is that current position you're in? And then what is that next inflection point? I mean, it's one thing to have a 10-year vision. Like, I see myself in a world that is X. However, we're not going to get to X overnight. We need to have inflection points. And what is it for? I think is a visionary and a leader can say, this is where we're going. This is what it's for. And there's that strategy there. So I often think from the end when it comes to this. Sorry, coffee's kicking in and I'm kind of on my little TED Talk rant.
Craig, I'm going to kick it over to you. Where do you find high stakes situations where this question is the most important question? Where are we going?
I think, look, when I think about this, so my background, the work I do is around organizational culture and supporting organizations and how do you build great culture. I work a lot with the executive team. So, right, this idea of leader comes up a lot for me. And as somebody with my background in organizational psychology, also, like, I remember thinking about this a lot. Like, what is a leader? Is a leader a manager? Is a leader? And where I've come with this is that leader, anybody can be a leader. We can lead in short situations, big situations, which is different than a manager, but a manager can be a leader. So I want to tease out this idea of leader. And then my next place goes, well, what's the fundamental thing? I mean, what defines a leader? And that is somebody needs to follow you or you're not a leader, right? What are you leading? So I think seeing anybody, I don't care if it's somebody put on the stage for the first time, if they're one to embody the voice of leader, a leader needs to engage people to come with me. I'm going to take you somewhere. And part of that is make them feel safe by saying, here's where we're going. Let me just lay this out for you. So yes, of course, when I think about the company kickoff and I think about CEO, but I think if I'm working with anybody, if there's any hint of you're not just presenting a slide on your new product, but you are leading somebody somewhere, we want to think about how do we engage people, make them feel comfortable, trust us, and show them forward. So now as we move forward, I think Brian just said, what's your plan? Like, yes, you want money, but what's your plan? So in that case, to an investor, let me tell you what my plan is. We need to own up on our marketing team, and we need a new chief technical officer, and that's where we're putting our money, and this is why. So I think that ties back to that leader. We're going here. Here's what we need, because if they're going to invest in you, they're following you. So that's what comes up for me, Anthony.
Thanks, Craig. I'm going to give a couple more situations, and they are, we talked about the company town hall, but if we take a look and look outside the organization, you're going to be presenting to the board, and the board wants to be confident that you're headed in the right direction. You may be presenting, there was a conference last week, Gartner. Gartner is a collection of analysts, industry analysts. So you want to be able to communicate with your industry's premier analysts that you know where you're going. And finally, you're getting interviewed by any member of the media. This is where you want absolute certainty, because when a leader is clear on where they're going, it raises the chances that the followers also know where they're going. So let's shift from this. We talked about what situations, but let's talk about voice, because the voice sounds different. The contributor voice sounds different than a storyteller voice, sounds different than a leader voice. So when it comes to leader, what are we looking for? I'm going to start off with a couple of vocal qualities. To me, if I'm listening to a leader, I am listening that the leader speaks with clarity, with confidence, and with precision. Mo, you were talking about, I don't want to take a tangent. Yeah, you don't want to take a tangent, because anything that tracks from the experience of clear, confident, and precise. Craig, I'm going to kick it over to you. When you look at a leader who's on stage, what's the quality of his or her voice as they're communicating?
Yes, I'll back up for a minute and just like a vision that I have when I see this, and I think it's such a powerful vision. Like, I know when I'm on an airplane, if there's any turbulence or any situation, I've caught myself. I watch it. I naturally look. If there's people that are working on the plane, they're still walking around, moving. They are settling me. I am in a very vulnerable situation, right? Sitting on a plane is very vulnerable, and am I safe? So I look to see the people that I've prescribed leadership to. Am I safe, right? And I share that because I think it's the same thing I think about if I've dropped in to do executive, lead executive meetings. I don't know the executive team. I have my own stuff around, the CEO. But what I say to myself is, for this 45 minutes, for this hour, I don't have to run the company, but they've asked me to lead this meeting. So how do I show up kind of like the person on the airplane, of like confident? I don't say a lot of just maybe, sort of, right? You're safe. Here's our agenda. Here's where we're going. Maybe there's some guidelines, right? Maybe there's some, hey, for this next 45 minutes, here's like they ask, everybody speak for yourself. Let's share for yourself. We're going to get vulnerable, whatever it might be. If you can do it with authority and then have people say, yes, we agree, you've really established that relationship. So if that's what's happening on stage, it's the same thing. Are you getting up saying, here's why you can follow me. Here's why I've got you. Here's where we're going. You can trust me. Let's go. So I think even in the way I just spoke that, it's not soft. It is reassuring, confident, and we do this. If you watch yourself, somebody gets up to present. If they're wishy-washy or unsure, we start to, can I follow you? Are you safe? I'm not sure. And what we want is to get rid of that. Like, well, they're still moving around the aisles. We're good. So I think about that energy of like, how do I show up? These people can follow me, trust me, and they're safe in my hands for this thing, for this moment. And then I've had CEOs hand me the baton metaphorically. I'll do my thing at the end. He's your CEO or she's your CEO. It's back to you. But like, let me take this for a moment. And it transfers. I've got this, and they want to feel that. They'll follow you if they trust that you have their best intentions in mind, and you're going to take them somewhere where they want to go.
Thanks, Craig. Brian, I want to get you to double down on this creativity. You've been mentioning that quite a lot. So take us through a contrast exercise. What does it sound when a presenter takes the stage and they're not in a creative state? They're in memorization or recall state, versus how does it sound when they are in a creative state? Quality of voice, why don't you break that down?
So I believe, okay, so let me start with the problem. When you're not creative, you're looking to be controlling. I think that's the polar opposite. And the reason why I say that is because it's if I can just add to what Craig was saying, is that you're expecting a certain outcome. You want something from somebody, as opposed to just, serving them something like, here's an idea. So there's a sharp contrast from being creative to be controlling. Like, I want a particular outcome. I expect people to do this. I expect to be right. I expect to be perfect. There's these just absolutes that don't put you there. So you're really in your head. However, if you start now to shift towards creativity, here's kind of the mindset that you take on. You've practiced, you've put yourself in the audience position. This is so important with empathy and the connection triangle. You understand what they need, what they're hungry for. So practiced, you're empathizing, you're providing something. And I think if we could just play on what we've used before to continue to put us in the right state, I think there's 3 other C's. Not to confuse, that's not one of the C's, not to confuse you all, but I think what we talked a lot before in other voices is taking on the voice of a contributor. So for example, if you understand what the problem is that your audience is facing, then you are now contributing with a solution. Like, I have this idea. I foresee a future that looks like this, that solves a problem. So you're a contributor, you're a servant to solving this particular problem. So that's what you're trying to do. You're not trying to cure, you're not trying to control, you're trying to contribute to solving a problem. That's number 1. But number 2, if you're going to move into the voice of a leader, you have to start to develop a certain conviction based on your beliefs. So we talk about the vision, but now you start talking about your values. And if I asked you all, look through your life, like inventory your life. What are those things, whether it be family, whether it be career, what are those values that create this hill that you'll die on, right? So there's this conviction that you have that you're really connected to, and that starts to create this confidence, like Craig is talking about, within your audience, that this is a good choice. And that's number 3. That's the third. So the first one is the voice of a contributor, which is like, we're trying to solve a problem. The second one is the conviction that comes from your values. And finally, you provide a choice to others. So the vision that you're casting, like, hey, I see us solving this problem like this. You come to the end of the presentation, you're then inviting people. You're not controlling them. You're saying, hey, we invite you to come to this party, to this solution, to contribute, to engage. If you don't want to be there, I have already let go of those who this may not be a fit for, but I know that this will fit for somebody. And that's so empowering, because you're not, again, back in that state of control. Like, I need everybody. Why am I being rejected? I need you to accept this. I need you to validate me. It's just an invitation that comes from the heart, accept it or not. I'm going this direction alone or with everybody, one way or another. So I think it's those 3. It's the voice of a contributor. Number 2, it's the conviction. And 3, it's providing a choice to others to join you in that vision. Thank you for coming to my
Thanks,
TED
Brian.
Talk.
Brian, I'm going to set up the exercise, and everyone that's joining, I know there's a few first timers that we have today. So in the gym, you have 3 options. Number 1, ask a question. You have a presentation coming up, or you want to break down a presentation you just did. That's what we're here for. So ask me, ask Brian, ask Craig, anything with regards to presentations, and we're available. The second thing is, if you're here to rehearse a portion of your presentation, you can do that as well. And it's not your whole presentation. We invite you to give a 2-minute section of your presentation so that me, Brian, Craig can give you some really high quality precision feedback. And the last one is, do the exercise. Because we're doing a micro training around the voice of a leader today, we do have a micro training. And Brian, let me bring that up. I'll also type these into the chat. So let me share that. Give me a moment here. All right. So let me publish this. What we're going to have you do, if you do the exercise, is we want you to use these prompts. The first prompt is, we have an opportunity, ... Okay. As a leader, you see a possibility, you see an opportunity somewhere. So you open with that. We have an opportunity to put a astronaut on the moon and be the first country to do so. Yeah. Strategy, we're not asking you to do the whole strategy, but what's the main strategy? What is the overarching strategy that gives me confidence that this is a great plan? I'm going to follow you and I know we're going to get there. And so that prompt is our plan is to. It might be a go-to-market plan, which is Brian's specialty. But again, we want you to briefly describe your high-level strategy. And finally, your next milestone. Your timeline is going to have a lot of different achievements. But what I want you to share, again, should you do the exercise, is to tell us what is your next major milestone? What is it? And when do you anticipate hitting it? It could be a version of your product. It could be a revenue number. It could be what else would be a milestone, Brian, in your world?
For a startup, it could be hiring, it could be product development, it could be anything you want it to be.
Raising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting a lead.
So,
goes on.
So Brian, some nuggets of wisdom before we go into your most favorite part of this. As folks who will be taking the stage, what are some sage advice you can offer?
Be messy. You got to have fun with it. Like if while you're practicing, and you want to ultimately be a creator of great content with your voice on the stage, be willing to be messy and always be able to play with and. Like you do one thing and this. I went this way and I went back that way. Just be messy, have fun, enjoy the play of it all, and let's see what happens. I don't know. That's all I got.
All right, Craig, any wisdom to share?
I mean, I think
Brian...
we shared a lot. I'm looking forward to getting to it. The only other thing oh, I just lost it. And I thought about it twice. It'd be messy, and well, I mean, I would say with this one is a lot of this is you're tight on your organization, and just remember, like, think about how many times you watched a speaker. How many times were you rooting for them to fail? How many times did you want to see something go poorly? It's not the case often. So remember, they're rooting for you. And if it's sloppy, say, like, I'm the first time doing this, root for me. They want to root for you. The more you try to hide that, or you're not a leader, you're trying to fool them, versus a leader says, hey, I'm nervous, but I'm doing it. I'm up here. So just remember that you can lead in lots of ways energetically. And one is owning your truth. And like, they want to root for you. Be honest with them.
All right, Brian, are you ready? Because everybody is ready.
I live for this moment.
I live for ready.
All right, let's get to it. All right, so this workout is brought to you by the Heroic Voice Academy Masterclass. Go to heroicvoice.com/masterclass to learn more about the application process for that opportunity. Today's presentation gym is part of a 9-week workshop, and each week we will focus on one presentation skill that will give you insights and practical tools for developing a deeper connection and recognized for your authority, respected for your leadership, and rewarded for your impact. We're broadcasting on Zoom and LinkedIn Live. If you'd like to jump on the show, you can go to heroicvoice.com/gym, click the Zoom button, and join us for our pitch practice. That's for all of you watching on LinkedIn Live. If you missed any of it, you can connect with us on LinkedIn to read the articles, watch the latest show. But if you're looking for the whole enchilada, you can go to heroicvoice.com/gym. There you can find all the resources and tools to position yourself as a fully prepared presenter. Once again, you could, enter the presentation gym using the Zoom. You can also book an appointment. You can go to our Academy page for all the online courses and templates that are free to use for you. And I often say that our free stuff is better than any of the paid stuff that you can find anywhere else. Finally, this is really cool. Take the scorecard, which will give you a personalized assessment of where you're at in terms of your message delivery skills. Our topics are part of a weekly workout program that give you a deeper dive into the topic for the week. Anthony, this is your time to shine. Go ahead and let us know what's going on throughout the week.
Thanks, Brian. So to preview the Thursday workout, I always publish a infographic that's fun to watch and just gives you a short idea of what we'll be doing in the Thursday gym. Which leads us to Tuesday, Brian. Tuesday is, wow, I have to congratulate you on a very successful 2024 filled with these Tuesdays. What are they about?
So Tuesdays, you can check out Silicon Valley Impact. We're on 92.9 FM in Silicon Valley if you're here in the Bay Area. Or you can go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and listen to all our shows about the startup ecosystem, investing, as well as strategies for your startup. Silicon Valley Impact, great show. It's taking fire. Check it out. If you're not there, you're just not in the loop. Sorry, had to say it. I'd say what I said.
And for those of you who like to read, I highlight an article. An article comes from a lot of the things that we teach. So for those of you who like to read, to get a deeper dive into what we are about to jump into, check out the article. Which brings us to Thursday, Brian. What happens on Thursdays?
Well, you're here, you're experiencing it. And we're here every Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. with the micro training in the presentation gym. So you can check that out also on heroicvoice.com/gym.
And finally on Friday, expect this, I'm going to repost this workout onto LinkedIn Live. I'm going to tag each of you. And my invitation to each of you, share your biggest takeaway.
All right, we're done. We're out. See you all next week. If you're here, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. But LinkedIn Live, we'll see you guys all next week, or join us here.